Audio Jungle.
Hello to all, and welcome to the subject of Introduction to Linguistics.
Audio Jungle.
Here comes the video on the lesson of First Language Acquisition by our group, consisting of 4 members:
Audio Jungle.
Mỹ Kiều, Thúy Trang, Thuận Nhi, and Hương Giang. And now,
Audio Jungle.
let's go with it to see what is First Language Acquisition. See you in the lesson.
Audio Jungle.
The lesson is divided into 3 stages for approach. First, we will look into the definition of language acquisition. After that, going into the schedule of language acquisition in children. And lastly, is the process of children acquiring the linguistic pattern of language. First language acquisitions, or in short FLA, is the study of how children acquire the native language. FLA is universal, which means every child in the world has to experience the same process in learning language, unless for some cases of impairment or disability. The process of children picking up the first language happens when the children are born until the age they are 3 years old. This process can happen longer or shorter, depending on the ability of the child. And in order to speak, the children must be able to receive enough input of a language sample being used around them by the adult or all the children around that child. However, the special thing here is coming in the characteristic of that speaking style. According to George Yoon in 2017, he said that the characteristically simplified speech style adopted by someone who spent a lot of time interacting with a young child incorporate a lot of forms associated with what is called baby talk. And baby talk, or we could call it the caregiver speech here, is the way we usually talk with the children without realization. We use exaggerated intonation, shorter utterance, and slower speech rate with a lot of repetition. So after we have noted what is first language acquisition, we are going to look into the schedule of the acquisitions in a baby. The timeline are divided into 5 stages. Firstly, from the age of 2 to 5 months old, the child seems to produce some vowel-like sound, particularly high vowels similar to E and U. Then it develops to create some sounds similar to vowel sound like K and G. This stage is called cooing. Between the age of 6 and 8 months until the years of 1 year old, the baby must have the input to produce what is called the babbling. The babbling takes place when the child is able to sitting up and produce a number of different vowels and consonants, as well as the combination such as ba ba ba, ga ga ga. Take a look on this child. And in the age of 12 to 18 months, the period is characterized into the one-word stage, which is in this stage, the children will produce one single term in speech. Children tend to perceive more phonemic contrast than they are able to produce themselves. Holoplastic is a particular term for this state, which means a single word could stand for a phrase or a whole sentence. If the child wants to drink milk, they would just say milk, and the parent should find ways to understand themselves. However, sometimes the clue is more difficult, so is parent getting time. After the one-word stage, we come to the two-word stage. This happened with the children from 18 to 20 months on. As the children's vocabulary moves beyond the 50 words, the first 50 words tend to be the names of important persons, or the greeting, the food, the highlight of daily routine, such as bath, ability to change the environment like give, take, go, up, down, or open. By the time the child is 2 years old, a variety of combinations similar to play, toy, sit, chair, daddy, go will usually have appeared. Moreover, by that stage, whether the child can produce 200 300 distinct words, he or she will be able to understand 5 times as many. And then, take a look on this child. Can you say all done? Can you say thank you? Can you say Amin? In the half, the child begins producing a large number of utterances that could be classified as multiple word speech. This stage is now classified into the telegraphic speech. And this is characterized by strings of words we call the lexical morphemes in phrase or sentence. Most children speak utterance of several words, but their grammar is far from complete. By the age of 2.5, children's vocabulary is expanding rapidly and the child needed more talk, while increased physical activity, including running and jumping. By 3, the vocabulary has grown to hundreds of words and pronunciation has become clearer. And at this point, it's worth to consider what kind of influence the adult have in the development of children's speech. After the first 2 parts of getting to know what is acquisition and knowing the timeline in when did the children acquire language, now we're gonna see through the process of acquisition happen. There's 3 processes of developing. Firstly is the development of morphology. Secondly, children gonna develop the syntax, and lastly is the development of semantics. By the time a child is 30 months old, he or she can produce inflectional and functional morphemes, which first appear is the ing formed and followed by the prepositions in and on. This stage we call it developing morphology. In this period, another term is used, overgeneralization, when the baby can add the at formed. He or she is likely to add s to any other word in plural, like foods, men's, and this happens with past form verb too. Take example of the irregular past form tense verb like came and went. This word will become he went or he camps. After the plural form is the past tense regularly with the ed, which is used in the opened or walked, as in he walked or he opened. And with the version of overgeneralizations, children can invent to the version of he goed and you comed. The final inflectional morpheme to be used is the present tense as occur first on verb like comes and knows, and with the auxiliary verb like does and has. It was in the first stage of 18 and 26 months old. Questions are formed with 1 or 2 words with the rising intonation at the end of the sentence, and simply with the word where. A bit later, when the child is 22 to 30 months old, what and why is added with 2 or 3 words and rising intonation at the end of the sentence, like you want egg or what book names. Lastly, in the third stage, WH questions like who and how are added together with the inversion and 3 to 4 words to form a question. This is still not a complete form of questions like in the adult version, but simply express the fuller idea to ask a question like will you help me? Or how is that open? In the forming negative development, also 3 stages are taken. In the first, no and not is added to express the negative idea, like no doing this or not sit there. The second case, no and not is added directly to the question, and don't and can is also added. He no like you. An example of nobody don't like me. Later, in the last stage, didn't and won't is added to the verb. I didn't catch this. This not book. Or she won't let go is expressed to have a negative meaning. Also, this is not a adult version or a completely form of a negative sentence. So after forming the syntax, children gonna develop their semantic. With the idea stated by John Yoon in 2017, during the holophrastic stage, many children use their limited vocabulary to refer to a large number of unrelated objects. This process is called overextension, the meaning of a word on the basis of similarity of shape, sound, and sight, and to lesser extent, movement or texture. For an example, after learning the word ball, which is referred to a round subject used for throwing, everything then appears with a round shape like a globe, a circle, a lemon, a water lemon, even an apple, may be called by the name of a ball. In this semantic development, there are some type of antonymous relations that are acquired fairly lately, around the age of 5. The distinction between a number of pairs such as before, after, or by and self is later acquired. Also, the ability to produce certain type of complex structure and extend the score are also much later developed. And despite the fact that children are still in the process of acquiring a number of other aspects of their first language through the later years of childhood, it's normally assumed that by the age of 5, they have completed the greater part of the basic language acquisition process. They have become accomplished users of a first language. And that brings us to the end of the video today. After going to the definition of first language acquisition, or in short the FLA, followed by the timeline of children acquiring the language. And lastly is the development of children throughout the stages in acquiring the linguistic factor in a certain language. I hope that you have all clearly understand how children acquire a specific language. And also, I hope that you find this video useful for your children, your child, your nephew, or your niece. And I wish you to be a successful language instructor. Thank you for watching.